Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're taking on cross-generational teams, something that, let's be real, pretty much everyone in the workforce these days has to navigate.
It's definitely a hot topic, and for good reason. A lot of companies are seeing the value in having a mix of generations on their teams, but making it actually work. Well, that's where things get interesting.
Yeah, it's like on paper it sounds great, right? All that diverse experience and perspective, but then you actually get in a room with someone who remembers dial-up internet and someone else who thinks rotary phones are vintage cool, and suddenly you're like, how do we even begin to understand each other?
Exactly, and that's what makes this deep dive so important. So we've got 5 key strategies to unpack.
Let's jump in. First up, respect for different perspectives. Okay, this might seem obvious, but how often do we actually stop and think, maybe the way I see this is just one way, shaped by my own experiences?
And this is where things get really interesting, right? Because it's not just about acknowledging that different generations see the world differently. It's about actively valuing those differences. Your notes mention some compelling examples.
Oh yeah, there was that case study about the tech startup.
Right. Where the younger team members were all about using social media for marketing, and the older team members were initially hesitant.
Yeah, they were like, social media, isn't that just for cat videos?
Uh-huh, exactly. But the key here is that instead of dismissing those different perspectives, they took the time to understand them. The younger team members explained their strategies, the older team members shared their insights from traditional marketing campaigns, and in the end, they were able to blend those approaches to create a really successful campaign.
So it's about combining that old school wisdom with the fresh, new perspectives.
Absolutely. And that leads us perfectly into our next key point: open communication. Because it's one thing to respect different perspectives, but if you're not communicating openly, you're never going to unlock the true power of those different viewpoints.
So how do we actually make that happen? Like, what if you've got a team member who's glued to their email inbox and another who's all about instant messaging? How do you bridge that gap?
That's where flexibility and adaptability come in another crucial strategy from your research. You've got to be willing to adapt your communication style to meet the needs of your team. So, yeah, maybe you have those big picture meetings in person, but then use Slack or Microsoft Teams for quicker updates and brainstorming.
So it's about being flexible with how you communicate, knowing that different strokes work for different folks. It's kind of like each generation comes with its own user manual, doesn't it?
In a way, yeah. And just like with any good user manual, understanding those generational nuances can make all the difference. You mentioned those team members glued to their email.
Totally.
Well, there's a good chance they're baby boomers who came up in a time when email was the height of technology.
Makes sense.
And those who prefer instant messaging might be millennials or Gen Z who are digital natives, comfortable with communicating in quick bursts.
It's true. They practically invented texting. But okay, we've talked about respecting different perspectives, understanding communication styles, and being flexible. But how do we actually get these different generations working together effectively? Like, we've talked about the potential clashes, the communication styles. How do we make the magic happen?
One powerful strategy, and one you highlighted in your notes, is to intentionally structure projects in a way that leverages those diverse strengths.
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
For example, you could pair a senior member who has tons of industry experience with a younger team member who's really good with data analysis.
That's a killer combo.
Right. Not only are you tapping into the unique strengths of each generation, you're also creating these amazing opportunities for mentorship and shared learning.
So instead of trying to force everyone into the same mold, we should be celebrating what each generation naturally brings to the table.
Exactly. And that's what makes cross-generational teams so powerful. When you can create an environment where those differences are valued and leveraged, you tap into this incredible well of creativity, innovation, and problem solving that just wouldn't be possible otherwise.
That's such a powerful way to think about it. Not just managing differences, but really, truly harnessing them. So as you navigate your next team project, think about those unique strengths each generation on your team brings to the table. How can you leverage their individual experiences and perspectives to achieve something amazing? Until next time, happy collaborating.